I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and if we can do roll call.
Sure. Director Andrews,
Here.
Director Watson,
Shelby,
oh, where'd she go?
I'm here.
Okay, and
I'm here.
Chair Richardson.
Present.
Great, thank you all. So first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from February 8th, which I think were sent out earlier today or maybe yesterday. Any questions or comments on the minutes?
No questions here.
Right, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
I guess I can second that, and we can take a vote.
Okay, Director Andrews,
Aye.
Aye.
Director Watson,
Aye.
Richardson.
Aye.
Excellent, thank you. So next up is resolution number 23 CEDB 02, approval of a new market. I'm sorry. Let me restate. Approval of new open market lenders to the commercial PACE program. And it looks like someone's going to talk us through this from the MEI team.
Yeah, sure. Just real quick, just to introduce CEDB 02 is just if the board remembers, as we're doing the open market commercial lending program, we do have a process in order to review and vet some of the lenders in the space. And so before we add any potential lenders to the space, we do bring them forward to the board for review and approval. So this is the addition of 2 more lenders into the open market commercial space. And so yes, I will be passing it off to MEI, and I do have Patrice here in the room, but I do want to pass it off to Josh Campbell if he would like to speak on it, and or Patrice. So.
Sure. So, Patrice, you can add anything that you need to. Both PACE Loan Group and Sustainable Equity were mentioned in our prior meeting. PACE Loan Group has closed a very large number of projects nationwide. They're a well-known and respected PACE financing entity, recognized this year both by CPACE Alliance and PACE Nation for their engagement in underserved communities, DEI work, as well as specialty projects. So while they do not have anything in St. Louis as of yet. Both the county and Show Me PACE approved them at the same time that we presented it to the city. And we are aware of at least one project since the time of approval in the Show Me PACE district where PACE Loan Group has something active in Missouri. So they're a good group, would highly recommend them. Sustainable Equity is led by Byron DeLear, and actually a number of other community bank and national bank leaders, a lot from this region, but nationally. Sustainable Equity has projects in Missouri that I think will be really interesting. And they're going about their funding stream a little bit differently, which Byron does hope that will provide them some flexibility in the amounts and types of projects they can fund. So based off of those two things, we do recommend both funding entities be approved by the board to be participants in the open market financing group.
Great, thank you, Josh. I will entertain a motion to approve this resolution to accept these new lenders.
Moved.
So that was Shelby, you
Okay.
moved. I think Shelby moved to approve, correct?
Second.
Yeah.
And Neil seconded. Any questions? No questions? All right, we'll take a vote.
Director Andrews,
Aye.
Director Watson,
Aye.
Chair Richardson,
Aye.
Great. That motion carries. Thank you all. We've got another resolution, 23 CEDB 03, to approve an assignment agreement by and between Y Green Energy Fund Missouri and Missouri Energy Initiative for administration of the CEDB board of the City of St. Louis PACE program.
Yes, so 23 CDB 03, as previously stated and in the title, is an assignment agreement with MEI and Y Green. If you remember, the original contract and the administration responsibilities were with Y Green and with MEI as a subcontractor to provide the open market commercial program. Whereas this resolution before you is seeking approval for MEI and Y Green to enter into an assignment agreement to have Y Green assign the main contract responsibilities of PACE administration over to MEI in totality. As we've seen in previous meetings, Y Green has stepped away from the residential market here in Missouri, as well as some of the other aspects, and they are looking to, and MEI is there and ready to assume those responsibilities. And so as such, the format of this assignment agreement is taking really no changes into the responsibilities and roles of the administrator. It's just assigning those roles to MEI from Y Green as they back away even more fully from the administrative responsibilities. And in this time, I will pass it over to MEI to elaborate any further, and then also to allow, of course, directors to ask any questions about this as well.
Thank you, Peter. So myself, Luke Hagedorn, General Counsel for the district, and Jackie have reviewed this, and I'll let them speak on their own. But I don't want the delay in this to suggest to you that it was really difficult or technical or problematic. It was really just getting Y Green to move on it. It had taken them a long time with the transition that they're going through, and they had changed their legal team multiple times. But with that said, this is a simple change. You shouldn't see any change whatsoever in the type of services that you are getting or that are being provided from today till after you approve this. So MEI is satisfied with this assignment and would recommend it. And then I would ask Luke and Jackie to provide any input that you would on this as well.
Well, I'm sorry, Luke. I reviewed it, and I mean, it's pretty clear cut and relatively simple, so I don't have any issues with that.
Yeah, and this is Luke Hagedorn. I prepared the initial draft. It's been modified a little bit since then, but not much. And I agree with everything that's been said. I'm fine with it as drafted.
I would just point out that as far as the assignment goes, this is considered to be the best path forward in terms of maintaining all of the services and getting all the responsibilities filled that we are seeking from a third-party administrator moving forward, given Y Green's kind of stepping away. And so MEI is there ready to fulfill all of those roles. And if we wish to continue having a seamless program, again, this is kind of considered the best path forward.
Yeah, this makes sense. Any questions from other directors? No questions. Well, then I will go ahead and make a motion that we approve this assignment agreement, and we'll entertain a second.
So moved.
Okay, so that's we can take a roll call.
Director Andrews,
Aye.
Director Watson,
Aye.
and Chair Richardson.
Aye.
Thank you. And then another resolution, 23 CDB 04, to appoint Laura Bryant as the Assistant Secretary of the Clean Energy Development Board of the City of St. Louis.
Okay, as you all are aware, Bonnie was our previous Assistant Secretary, and she is no longer working in our agency, she has been recently moved over to the main office of the city councilor's office. So this resolution is merely to appoint Laura Bryant, who is our new paralegal. She's been with us a few months, and she will continue on the duties that Bonnie previously held in organizing the meetings, etc., for the board. So I just request that you approve this resolution.
Got it. Well, thanks for the background. I will make a motion that we approve the resolution.
So moved. It's second that motion, sorry.
Great, thank you. So we can take a vote.
Director Andrews,
Aye.
Director Watson,
Aye.
and Chair Richardson.
Aye.
All right. Well, welcome, Laura, and thanks for being for helping us out, for helping the board out.
Of course, thank you. I'm very excited.
Great. So we have a open agenda. I don't know if that just means if anybody has questions or comments or updates to share.
Yeah, we'll go through our program updates at this time.
Okay, great, great. Go for it.
All right, so this is our 2022 collection status. We had 4.5 million due in collections. We collected 3.8. We have a little over 300,000 still delinquent, but we are working on that at the time. That's where we're at right now. We have one that we're working on from 2021, but we are in talks with all the necessary parties to get those resolved. Josh shall pass on for the financial report. Sorry. Josh?
He looks frozen.
Yeah, this happened yesterday. His computer froze. He unfroze after a minute.
Well, we'll skip over this part and come back to it. So one thing that we've been working on, as I guess the PACE world has been working on, is the CFPB has been proposing new consumer protections for surrounding PACE. And this really affects residential PACE. So right now, this is kind of what they put out. They're taking public comments and think until the end of July. For our other districts, we gave the option that we could either form a comment or response, or we could leave it. And I guess we could just talk through kind of like how we want to proceed forward on this. I'm sure there's some questions. I wish Josh was on and talk through it. But it could really shape how we look at PACE for residential owners. I guess any specific questions here?
It looks like Josh might be back on. I don't know.
I apologize. My internet keeps going in and out. Patrice, were you looking for me to comment on this?
Yeah, on this, and then we'll go back to the financial report one.
Okay. Yeah, I heard some of what Patrice said. As you all know, this has been something we've been working with the CFPB and others on. There is a caveat. They have a footnote in the ruling that it doesn't apply to commercial. I've asked multiple sources the legal strength of a footnote because there are other components within the ruling that would tangentially impact commercial PACE. So I've been advocating for some clarity on that point. Otherwise, as Patrice mentioned, I can work with Peter. The district can provide a response to the ruling. It does seem to overstep quite a bit, especially for a industry that is kind of reeling right now. But from this entire process, I don't foresee it changing. They kind of they knew the direction they were going to go, and this is the end result. Happy to answer any questions.
Will we need to review any response that you all prepare, or?
So MEI will author a response on our own behalf, but I can work with Peter to, if the board would like, to draft something on behalf of the district and provide that as well. And in that case, yes, I would advise that you sign off on it. It was at a minimum, whether it's electronic or not, and it can be, signed by the directors.
And thanks, Josh. What would the time frame on that be? I mean, in terms of like when we need, do they have a deadline for
The end of
responses?
July.
End of July. Okay.
I think it was like July 26th or something like that.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Any other questions? You want to jump back to the finance piece then?
Yes, so on the finance side, candidly, we're still trying to figure out exactly the best way to handle this. As to be clear, the finances, right? The district has their own finances, a bank account. We do not have access, MEI does not have access to that. Whereas before, your prior administrator did, so giving you a reconciliation of your account was much easier. The other financial components of the district, i.e. The funds that are flowing through, reconciling any delinquencies, ensuring that the bond payments and accounts with UMB that are held with the trustee at UMB Bank are handled. All of those are set up. We had a delay again in our response from our bookkeeper. And then candidly, again, I've been gone for the last 3 weeks in the middle of nowhere camping. So my ability to communicate and receive any communication from Peter has been limited, but it is something that I touched base with him on when I got back, and my hope is to be able to get something to you soon. Happy to take any direction or questions on that topic.
So is it anticipated that we will be receiving a full update at the next quarterly meeting?
Yes. And
is there,
go ahead, Emily, sorry.
no, go ahead. It's okay, Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, that breakdown would be and this is something that we would probably also propose at the same time, is a slight change of how that financial report is provided to make it easier on both SLDC and MEI to clearly delineate the roles, right? Now that the bank account is held under SLDC and not under the administrator, being able to demonstrate that Peter would be able to give his reconciliation statement components and we'd be able to give ours, would be a proposal that I'll be working with Peter on over the interim to ensure that we don't catch each other's coattails and you get the information you need as quickly as possible and as accurate as possible. But again, that is a proposal that I'll be putting together with Peter that at the next quarterly meeting will A, have the financial reports, and B, have a clean proposal for the board to consider on what type of report come to you and who authors these reports.
Great. That was going to be my question, is whether you should have access to more bank account information. So you answered it.
Yeah, I think the one Josh was alluding to, the operational account, we do have the operational agreement the board does with SLDC for the one specific account, the operational aspect that, you know, is intended to use for the collection of fees that are owed to the CEDB for individual projects. Then those funds are turned around and at least as originally intended to be used for staffing support. So again, that should be no issue from SLDC standpoint in order to present those financials. It's just the one individual account. So like I said, that we most likely will be authoring that report, and then the remainder would be taken over by MEI as part of their responsibilities from the financial aspect for just the program as a whole.
Yeah.
At least that is what we are thinking right now. If it deviates, we'll go through it in detail at the next quarterly meeting as we're, again, dividing up all the responsibilities and the format of how it's going to be presented moving forward. But in general, that is correct how we anticipate it moving forward.
Great. Thanks for those updates. It's helpful.
All right, so we got some good news. The Armory was awarded a national award from the CPACE Alliance for in the large transaction category. So we're really excited about that because we got nationally recognized. So yay! And we wanted to share that here today. And we have just some other ones that we completed. So we did the Soho apartments. That was in 2022. Just sharing that here. That was the $5 million project with Forbright. Then we also did Jefferson Arms, which was 29 million, which was a big project in 2022. Right now, when I made this slide, it was 33.5 million, but I think since then I've heard through the grapevine we have at least 10 more million out looking to close, just hoping to get those interest forms in from lenders to know a little bit more about what's on the pipeline. And we're using all of these like outreach things in order to know about our pipeline, build our pipeline. So that includes working with Building Energy Exchange, working with identifying new lenders, new developers, as well as contractors in the area. Last week we were at Pace Nation Summit, which is a national meetup of all of the Pace people to be administrators as well as lenders, and we were able to make some good connections there. I think 2 weeks before that, Josh was in Chicago at the CPACE Alliance meetup with administrators as well as lenders. And then we're doing additional outreach within Missouri to the Missouri Bankers Association as well as the Missouri Municipality League in order to build our overall PACE outreach here. I think one thing that I did miss on here is in August, we will be hosting our own PACE Summit in Columbia, and we're excited about that. That's our first one that we will be held by MEI, and we're hoping to, again, bring out more lenders, developers, as well as build our outreach with contractors to help people know more about PACE. I definitely feel like education is a hurdle and not enough of people know that PACE is an option in building their capital stack. So that's what we have been working on. Any more to add to that, Josh?
I would add it would be the first PACE Summit in Missouri, period, not just with MEI. We also look to be moving that. For those of you familiar with MEI, we do hold 3 conferences a year. And so every year that PACE Summit will change location. So, next year, as an example, we'll have it in St. Louis, and the year after in Kansas City, and then one in Springfield as we try and grow that We find that property owners, owning something in St. Louis often own properties in other locations in the state, and getting them familiar and seeing successes locally, and for them locally is within the state, is extremely helpful. The other part, if you were unaware, those slides 8 and 9 are the case studies. One thing that we promised when we came on board is to help publicize the existing projects. So that is something that is on our website, gives people an example of actually what will happen, or what has happened, pardon me. And then the only other thing that I would add is as far as the summits. One thing that MEI does is we manage and share 2 national administrator groups, and through that we are working on best practices to both streamline PACE lending to decrease costs on our end and on their end. And we're doing that on the national level, and that's what those 2 events were really about, is figure out how we can streamline that to provide services for your constituents at a more efficient and effective way. And that's it.
Thanks, Jess. Do you all have a date for the PACE Summit in August?
It's gonna be the 28th.
And Emily, the next day is the Midwest Energy Policy Series on energy efficiency. So you can just stay in town in
Stay.
Columbia.
Got it. Good timing.
Yes.
Any other questions for Josh or Patrice? All right, well, thanks for that update. We'll look for financial information at the next meeting in August. And we have a tentative executive session on the agenda. Is there any reason to move to that?
No, not today.
All right, so our next regular board meeting is scheduled for August 9th. Same time, same Zoom channel. And if there's no other questions or conversation we can adjourn. We need a motion for that. I always forget.
Yeah, just do a motion. I mean, we don't need a roll call vote.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Great, I'll second that.
Thank you.
All in
Right.
favor? Just say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a good one.